So Pentax made a huge deal about the optical viewfinder in the Pentax K3 Mark III. With that said, that big deal they made about the viewfinder experience when you're shooting, did they end up doing anything regarding the live view experience with the same camera? They didn't really talk much about it. So has it changed? Has it been improved? Did they do anything different? Let's compare between the original Series K3 and the new K3 Mark III and see what's up. All right, so once again, we're going to be using my ever faithful model, Frida Frog. She's all, thugged out with the Roots hat on, all sported, all sporty and stuff. So that's what we're going to be doing the tracking with. And here you'll see got my K3 Mark III with the Sigma 1770 f2.8 to 4 DC macro HSM lens. And on the original K3, I have the DA50 1.8 lens on there. So I don't have identical lenses, but both of these do hit 50 millimeters at a fairly wide open aperture. I believe it's f4. So I'm going to set both cameras up in aperture value and set the aperture to f4. Both of them will be at 50 millimeters, and as you can see, they are side by side. So the field should be relatively the same, and it should give you a good bearing on what the differences are with live view with each one. And let's see if Pentax made some improvements. Okay, before we get into that, let's just quickly take a look at the menus in regards to these two cameras. So on the left here, I have the K3 Mark III. On the right, I have the original K3. So in live view, we have contrast. Let me just move this in a bit here. There we go, that's better. So on the original K3, you have contrast autofocus options, face detect, tracking, full auto, select, and spot. Those are the only options that you have. Everything is all grouped into the one menu item of live view. And you have your focus peaking on and off, and various grid displays that you can have on the rear screen or off. Your histogram, highlight alert, and composition adjustment. Now, those are the only options you have for live view. Now, on the K3 Mark III, you have quite a number of options here. So, you have your autofocus with live view options. And as you can see, some of these are grayed out, and this is something I've explained before. With the mode dial here for live view, video, and stills, if I change this over to live view and go back in, you'll notice now they are not grayed out because I'm in the live view mode. So it'll enable the modes specific to that actual shooting mode, whether you're in stills, video, or live view. So now that we have it all open, let's take a look at the options for autofocus. And we have auto area. This looks like it's getting out of focus there. Here we go. Auto area, zone select, tracking, select large, select medium, select small, spot. So there are more options in regards to the autofocus capability within the live view experience. Over here, you've got your focus peaking, you have your extract edge, highlight edge, or off. You have your contrast autofocus options, focus priority, release priority, and face detection on only in auto area. So if you're using full auto, you can have face detect only work while you're in full autofocus mode. Or you can have it on, period. So no matter which mode you're in, it'll try to detect a face. So I have that on. And actually, let's turn that off because we're going to use tracking. Autofocus with live view, tracking, yep. And let me just double check the K3 Mark I. Put that back to tracking, just so that you can see that I'm actually putting it to tracking. Oops. There we go. So it is now in tracking mode. Okay, so let's start with the K3, the original, this one here. Let's just quickly flip over to live view and see how it tracks. Now the focus is pretty quick. It doesn't seem to be too bad, but then if you start to move, yeah, see, it just lost it. And if you press the shutter, it doesn't recenter the actual autofocus point. You have to press OK in order for it to recenter. So see, missed it again. Okay. Missed it again. All right, so that's that in a nutshell. All right, let's move over to the K3 Mark III and see how this bad boy does. All right, so we are in tracking. Just loosen my ball head here. Get you out to 50 mil. F4. Let's keep the ISO the same. ISO 400. And that was 1/25th of a second. Let me get this back down here, 1/400. And we were at 1/25th of a second. That's interesting. Huh. So these are showing completely different exposures. Very, very interesting. It's showing 1/40th of a second. Anyway. Yeah, so you can already see it is hard to see the autofocus square. Let's see if I can find something to put it on. There you go. Now you can see it right there. So it is difficult to actually see. However, one thing is once you let go of the shutter button, it will recenter. Do that again. It recenters immediately. All right, let's try tracking you. Whoops. Did not mean to do that. So the tracking is much, much better. Okay, just lost it. Now it's hunting. Okay, let's get it back. The tracking is much, much, much better. Now, as for face detect, okay, so I've put face detect on the original K3, as you can see here, little face there. Excellent. And try to get this more in focus. There we go. Get the exposure down a bit. And as you can see, you can just see the little green squares along here. And this is in just face detect mode. And if you look at the bracket there, it's the equivalent of zone detect, or sorry, zone autofocus on the K3 Mark III. There we go. So you can see the green squares over here. Now they're all over here. Now the thing is, it's still hard to see that on the K3 Mark III. They're a lot thinner. So they're very difficult to see. You can just barely see it there. And even the bracket here is thinner. Now there are some other tricks in regards to the K3 Mark III where you can just touch focus wherever you want. But in regards to actual focusing, it is a pretty big difference. And I know that people are going to say it's because of the HSM, but I'm going to switch lenses and show you it's not. Okay, just to show you, I have switched lenses. So on the K3 Mark III, I now have the DA50 1.8 screw-driven lens. And let's see how the focus on this actually goes compared to the K3 Mark I. It's barely even moving. The hunting is almost completely gone. Let's just throw this into manual and defocus you completely. Put you back in autofocus, and it's a lot more decisive. And now for the K3 Mark I with the Sigma HSM lens on it. So it is still doing that hunt, just that slight hunt, right? But the HSM on the K3 Mark I is actually behaving about the same as screw drive on the K3 Mark III. And there's really not much of a difference between the two, which is pretty remarkable if you really think about it. So yeah, it looks like Pentax, as much as they went on and on and on about the viewfinder experience and everything, it really does seem that they stepped it up even in regards to live view. I'm actually, I'm quite happy about that. And one more test of completely defocusing both of them and see the speed of acquiring focus. Okay, as you can see, they're both completely defocused. And here we go. 1, 2, 3. Wow, I was not expecting it to be that much of a difference. That was crazy. Let's do that again. And for you people that actually pay very close attention to my videos, I realized afterwards that on the K3 Mark III with the DA50 1.8, I was actually in 2.8. I was not in f4. So I just changed it to f4. Just so you can see, it is at f4. There you go, right there at the bottom. Right there. So now let's run this side-by-side autofocus speed test one more time. 1, 2, 3. Once again, K3 Mark III just takes it. So there you have it. The difference between the K3 Mark I and the K3 Mark III. It really does seem that Pentax actually did not only step up the game in regards to the viewfinder experience, but they also really stepped up the game with the live view experience. So yeah, it's like, I mean, Pentax really did their homework this time, and I'm going to be shooting more live view just to see how it all works out. The tracking works very well, even though it's difficult to show on video in regards to how razor thin the little focus point thing is, but the tracking actually does work remarkably well. The autofocus is way faster than live view from before. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoy the video. If you like it, leave a like. If you haven't already, please do subscribe, helps me out. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. If you'd like to support the channel, I'll leave that information down below as well. And that's it. I'm gonna go. You'll see me on my next video. I'm out.